All right, everybody, welcome. So this is review part 2 for chapter 7. Make sure you guys follow along with Alex. I'll try to make sure and give you a couple of examples for some of these. Some of these I'm not going to be too worried about because they're kind of easy in concept, and so you only got to go through them once or twice. All right, first up, number 1 on the docket here, simplify these. Make sure we've talked about this in the past, that you guys understand kind of what we're doing. And when I say by that is, when I say know what you're doing, it's what does it actually mean? And what it actually means is as follows. U to the 4th would mean there are 1, 2, 3, 4 U's. U to the 4th again, 1, 2, 3, 4 times U at the end. And then you add them all up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So your answer would be U to the 9th. Struggle. Click on the explanation over here. You guys have 2 options when you're going through a review. Click on an example that looks similar, that'll give you a breakdown of it. Similar concepts and setups. Okay, or ladies and gentlemen, if you feel like you can't ever get an answer, click on this explanation and it'll give you the answer, but then you'll have to do another problem. Okay, these 2 buttons over here on the left or on the right are the main key functions for you guys to work on when we're doing the review. If you don't use those buttons, then ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to help. We can't help you get better. Okay, just make sure you guys understand that concept. Number 2. Remember, it is 5 times U times -7, and then you would have 1, 2, 3 U's, okay? Then you put it all together. So you'd have 5 times -7 is -35, and then it'd be U to the 4th because there are 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't forget the outside U as you go through this process, okay? Number 3, I got wrong earlier on purpose to kind of figure out the empty boxes because I wanted to give another answer. So let me try another real quick. When you try another with this, y to the 4th, what does it mean? Remember, the exponent means there are 4 of these. So technically this is y to the 4th times y to the 4th, y to the 4th. I could break it down one more time. So it'd be 4, 4, 4, 4, and then you count them all up. So it'd be 4 plus 4 is 8, 12, 16. Okay, if in doubt, that's why 4 times 4 is 16. All right, that's another way of thinking of it. Number 4, and this is not on 4, but on 5 and 6 is where I kind of bunny trail off here. Show you guys a different way. 4 is easy; it's the same thing. It'd be 6y times 6y. You guys know that it would be 6 times 6, which is 36, and then y squared. That one's not too difficult. Kind of gave you some easy ones to kind of get you in the mood of doing things. And then 5 is where we kind of kicked off the craziness, okay? If you struggle on 5 and 6, I suggest you guys work through them, try another one when you're done. All right, so x to the 3rd over -2y to the 4th to the 5th power means there are 5 of these, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it out one time so you guys understand the concepts. Now, hopefully you guys will be able to put the pieces together where you don't have to write this out. But some of you I know will. All right, take your time and write these problems out on a piece of paper, the scratch paper that's going to be provided to you. And if you can write these out, then you know you'll be successful. Okay, here it is 5 times. So what it means is how many x's do I have on top? It'd be 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3. If I add that all up, that would be 15, which is 3 times 5 is 15. So you guys understand this concept here. All right, so it'd be x over 15. Now here's where it gets tricky, is when it's with a number, you're actually not, you're multiplying the numbers as well. So it's -2 and -2 is a +4. -8, +16, -32. And then, ladies and gentlemen, y to the 4th. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. That would be my answer. I'd plug that in and go from there. Hopefully you guys see this breakdown. This is a large one. Put it in, test it out yours. Try yours. It might be, you might have 1 to the power of 2 or to the power of 3. I've seen both of those examples today. But you need to work it out and try accordingly, okay? All right, next. Break it down if you can't see it. 6. On 6, the same simplification. Now, this one's easy, so I'm going to kind of do another one. So this is 36, and then it's y squared, so it's y and y on top, and then it's 4 with 5 y's on the bottom. All right, with this problem, we've kind of discussed this before. You can simplify, so let's focus on the numbers. 36 divided by 4, can you simplify that out? It would be what? On top, it would be 9. It'd be over 1, but we don't write the 1. Now you guys got to remember that any number divided by itself. So if I cover up the y's and I have a y here, y divided by y is 1. It's the same if I say what's 3 divided by 3, 4 divided by 4. It's 1. So what I want you guys to do is cross off the pairs and then figure out what's left behind. And it would be y to the third. So if I go in here, I would put in my 9, and then I need to click the button there, and that would be y to the third. Oops. Y, come on. Go keyboard. Y to the third, and then you hit check, and I'm right. And then what you guys want to do is try another. Okay, so here's a bigger one. Now what I want to make sure you guys understand, this one here, same concept, okay? 56, and then there's 5 y's, 32, and then there are 3 y's. Okay, on this, same principle, elimination. That y's gone, that one's gone, so I have 2 left on top. Some of you can't do greatest common factor yet. Here's one suggestion. If you put this into the inspires that we have in the classroom, it will actually give you the fraction. So if I put in 56 divided by 32, it will give me the simplified form of that. However, me knowing my math, I believe the answer to this would be 7 times 8 is 56, and then 8 times 4 is 32. So what gets eliminated? The 8's would be eliminated because they cancel each other out. So it would be 7 over 4, and then I have 2 y's left on top. Plug it in. For my case, I'll plug it in. I try to get the answer. I know it's going to be correct. Okay, number 7. Same principle in philosophy. You would cancel out 21 divided by 28. Put in the TI Inspires, hit enter, and see what it comes up with. Or what do they share in common? I see this is a 7. So if I factor out a 7, that would be 3 and 4. So I know it would be 3/4. And then you would start to eliminate. So this would be not 4, it would be 3, because you get rid of that v. And then W2 over W2 would be what? They'd cancel each other out. So I'd have 3 over 4 v to the third. Simple as that. Okay? You guys make sure you try as you go through. All right, 8. Split these up. Focus on each individual. The number first, the variable second. Square root of 64. There's a property that you guys can use. W to the 8. Okay, if you want to know the name of the property, you can come over here and click on this little light bulb with an example, and it'll tell you the distribution property, okay, which is a using property AB equals A times the square root of A to B, right? It's the property of square roots. Knowing that concept, you blow it apart, because you can know, most of you should know, square root of 64 is 8. And then one thing I want to write about this is you guys need to know that technically speaking, W to the 8th can be rewritten as W to the 8th power, and then up here, the square root represents 1/2. And so if I write it like this, what is half of 8? Most of you guys should be able to do that math. Half of 8 is, in fact, 4. So, ladies and gentlemen, the answer would be 8W to the 4th. So what I want to make sure you guys understand is that a square root is actually a half exponent. So what you're doing is you're taking half of whatever is in here. So when we are expounding this out, so say for example I have I have the square root of W to the 4th. What you guys need to know is that you are basically taking 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's the square root. So you're taking half the W's out. Well, if I take half of the W's out of here, what am I taking out? I'm taking out 2 of them, because that's half of them. And what is left behind but is W squared. Okay, so think of it like that. So W to the 8 means I would have, in brackets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it's a square root, so it would be to the half. So what you're doing is what? You're taking half of these exponents. So if I take 1 here, I leave 1. Take 1, leave 1, take 1, leave 1, take 1, leave 1. How many do I got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you guys understand that. Square root means you're taking half. Let's keep going. All right, number 9 real quick. We'll do 9. I think I'll do 9. 9's kind of simple. All right, now 9, usually we'll go with the number's the same, but the variable out front, square root of 28, times u to the 10, okay? If I have u to the 10, remember it's going to be, what is half of this? So half of 10 would be u to the 5th. Now the struggle is going to be the 28, okay? You guys need to think of, know your perfect squares, all right? It would be square root of 4, 9, 16, and 25. Can I pull any of those out of here? Well, I know I can pull a square root of what? 4, right? So square root of 4 times the square root of 7, because 7 times 4 is 28. Then I can simplify this to 2, because square root of 4 is 2. That's a prime number. I can't touch that. So now I have my 2 answers here. And what you have to do now is you put this and this together. So your answer would end up being 2. And then what else is outside of the bracket is u to the 5th power. And then what is underneath the square root still? Square root of 7. Okay, put the pieces together. Then I would type it in. All right, make sure you guys understand the simplicity of this is that if you break things down into pieces, you should be able to solve these out with no problem at all. Okay, 10, go along the same lines. This one, though, is w to the 13. So what I want you guys to understand with this is that same principle applies. So some of you might struggle with this, but some of you may not. So square root of w to the 13, remember, is the same as taking w to the 13 and it's half. Okay, so if I were to take half of 13, I would actually be 13 divided by 2, which most of you can do this in your head, would be 6.5. Okay, 6.5. All right, so what does that actually mean? Well, if I were to go and expand this all the way out and write out 13 w's, remember what you're doing is you're taking half of them. So if I take half of them out, I can actually take out 6 whole w's. So it'd be w to the 6th. But the problem is I have this little half here, which means I leave half of one behind, which is a w. Move my mouse real quick. Okay, so hopefully you guys understand this. So let me go a little tinier. Okay, so if I go, let's go x to the 5th. Okay, so what you do is, remember, this was basically, it would be x to the 5th, but it would be half of it. All right, so let's write it out and figure it out. Okay, so right here, I'll do it in blue. X to the 5th. So if I had square root of x, and I got 5 of them, and I'm taking half of them out. So what I would be is, if I take one out, leave one. Take one out, leave one. Can I take another one out? The answer is what? No, you cannot. All right, so what you guys need to understand is that I'm taking this one out of here, and I'm taking that one out as you cross them off. But what's going on is you're what? You have one odd one out. So you have x squared to the x. Because you guys know that 5 over 2 is what? 2.5. And I'll show you one more example at the end. Maybe that might clarify it one more time. And that's going to be on 12. 11 is simple. Okay, it's just the same concept where you guys would split that and do it. But I want to show you 12 because that's a little harder. And that's got another little example on it. So we have here, same setup. Square root of 20 times the square root of t to the 12, all right, times the square root of u to the 3rd. All right, so what I'd want you guys to do is solve these out individually. So 20, perfect square, would be 4, 9, 16. Well, I know 4 goes in here. And then you leave it like that. Square root of, this would be 2. Square root of 5, that's a prime number, you can't touch it. 12, remember, this is 1/2. So what is 12 divided by 2? That would in fact be t to the 6th. And then v to the 3rd. Okay, remember, v to the 3rd, if I do this by 1/2, okay, would be 1.5, which means I can pull 1 out, but I have to leave half of it behind. And then what you would do is put all the pieces together. So on my answer over here, it'd be 2, because that's what I have first. And then it would be t to the 6, because that's by itself. So it'll be t to the power of 6. Let me find my mouse again. There it is. T to the power of 6. And then you would make sure you understand your last value is v. Okay, so it's v. And then you would want to do the square root function. And the square root would be 5. And then it would be v. Just like this. Check your answer. Oh wait, it's not v. What is it? Oh, it's u. My bad. I can't write. Alright, so this is u. And that's u. That's what happens when you have bad handwriting. So u. Not v's. Okay? Check it, and yay, I'm correct. Alright, so let me try one other one. So when I delete this is a good example. What I want to make sure you guys understand is I'm more focusing going to be on this part right here. Okay? X to the 12th, you guys know would break down to 4 and 3, so that'd be 2 and a third. Right? W to the 8th, that'd be 4. I want to focus on square root of x to the 11th. Okay, if I did that, so remember it looks like this. X to the 11, and then it'd be 1/2. If I divide that out, I would get 11.5, or what? It would be 5.5, just like that, mixed number. What I want you guys to understand is if I'm coming in and I take half of these out, I would have x to the 5th, and then what do I leave behind? I leave behind 1x, because that's what this is saying. I pull 5 out, and I leave 1 behind. But remember, this can also be rewritten as x to the 5th, and then it'll be x to the what? 1/2. So doesn't 5.5 look the same as 5.5? That's what I want to make sure you guys understand, is that this number, 5.5, is actually the same as that exponent right there. And then you'd plug it in. So on here, I would plug in 2, and then it would be x to the 5th, and then it'd be w to the 4th, and then the square root would be 3x. Focus on that, guys. Run through it. Look at the explanations, okay? I know this part 1 was a little difficult for some of you, but part 2, most of you should ace this test. I'm really hoping you guys do. If you have any problems or struggles, use these examples here. Go back and watch lesson 7.4. I think I have that up on YouTube. And then we have some rational stuff that we did, which was earlier. It was like 7.1 and 7.2. Go through those as well and try to figure out how to get to those pieces. If you have any questions or concerns, come talk to me. But good luck and study up.